position and notes to the financial statements that in my judgment are of such importance and fundamental to the user's understanding of the financial statements. So we go to these issues, all these queries, and that is asset revaluation. Please, Mr. James, can you have your microphone about what's your response? And then members will engage.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Meant that the assets of an entity be revalued regularly. We followed the law and contacted the Office of the Auditor General, who carried out a revaluation of all the assets of Posta Uganda. And on the 23rd of November last year, Honorable Chair, the office issued a report giving the current values for all the assets of the institution. Honorable Chair, this report was provided together with the responses, and we're happy to submit another copy if it's requested.
Members, can you engage for that? That is 3.0 asset revaluation.
Do you have an updated asset register to date?
Yes, Mr.
As an entity?
Yes.
Where is it?
It's kept in the finance department.
And we have a copy, Chair, through you, Chair, an updated asset register.
We shall provide a copy of the updated asset register for Posta Uganda.
We need it tomorrow. Martin?
Mr. Chairman, thank you so much. It's a very interesting, by the way, part of this report. If you look at the report, this exercise is supposed to be carried out every 5 years. That's one. And up to date, first one talks of 2014. And today as we speak, we are in 2020 what? We are in 2024, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, why I have interest in this, if you look at the properties, the state value of land, the state value of building, and total market value. And if you look at all these properties, let me take you to property number 14, Gulu Post Office. Gulu Post Office, you'll see 2.9 billion, that is value of land, but the building is 278. And all the buildings, if you look at them, the value of the buildings are almost 10%, 5%, 15%. What does it mean, Mr. Chairman? That ever since the enter has been running these buildings, they're only recouping from the old structures. There is no value addition. They are only picking money. There is no further development that is being taken. There is, I think, if it was in these developed countries, maybe we could have declared them that they are not good for occupants. So let the MD tell us of what value are you adding to these structures?
Yes, please.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. First of all, these government buildings sit on large tracts of land. And the Honorable Member is right when he picks out Gulu Post Office. Gulu Post Office sits on 1.5 acres of land in that city. Sorry? It's very prime.
Your attention to paragraph 3 under this item we are handling 3.0.
Okay, read it for us.
There is where the auditor is saying that the report also pointed out that not all the properties of Posta had been included in the valuation. And the auditor went on by saying, this puts to risk those assets that were not declared in the valuation report. But he further said that I noted that the assets that were not valued were disclosed on page 34 to the financial statement. And the response of the accounting officer was that the process of revaluing of Posta Uganda Limited assets by the chief government valuer has been completed and the report was issued, implying that this was not valued because the process had been concluded. So I want to know from the MD where these properties were at the time of valuation, to the extent that they were not captured in the valuation report.
Okay, MD.
Chief government valuer to value a property.
Be near the microphone.
Sorry?
Be near the microphone.
Yes. The chief government valuer based his report on the certificates of title that were available to him at that time. There are properties that are shared between Posta Uganda and UTL, whose ownership is still unresolved. And Mr. Chair, this is a matter that is handled by the political leadership. We would seek your indulgence if we can have our political leaders respond to this matter of the properties between Posta Uganda and UTL that are under contention.
Yes, Honorable.
Trying to answer 3 point what? I think it's
3.0.
Yeah, 4.0. But we wanted to know. Yes, our question is specifically why is not these other assets reflected in the valuers? Let us not jump the gun before. We are saying why are other properties not clearly indicated in the
accounting officer?
Those properties indicated in the report because they are not owned by Posta Uganda.
What I should do, yes, we have the list of the assets that have been valued. Well, I think what we need now is the other properties, which are the assets we are talking about. And from your explanation, you are saying that there are some properties where you have a conflict with your co-wife. So can we have a list of those properties where you have a conflict with the other company? Maybe those are the assets they are talking about, which were not valued by the government chief government valuer.
So your question?
Valuation report, and you look at V1, that is 6. Unutilized land and title.
Where?
The valuation report.
Okay.
That is page 3.
Page 3.
Item number 6, V1. It reads, unutilized land and titles with expired leases. With expired lease terms have not been valued. It is advised that the unutilized parcels are surveyed and the expired leases are renewed. Now, when you go to table 2, you go to item number 2, that is Kasese. Kasese, you'll find that expired lease.
Page 5.
Yeah, page 5. Item number 2.
Okay. Kasese Post Office.
Yes, you'll find expired. You go to item number 16, leader. Expired. You go to... That is all. But now, the issue is, these ones were also included in the value. Yet here, the valuer says these were not supposed to be included. So I don't know whether the accounting officer, that's the MD, whether he read this report and is in agreement with the report of the surveyors. 2, how much are you using to have these surveys? Because one, why I'm concerned about the cost involved, the surveyor at some point says, we have also...
Where is that?
Huh?
The surveyor, where is?
The evaluation, in the evaluation report.
Because you have to...
The surveyor talks of assumptions.
Where exactly?
Go to page 3, Mr. Chairman.
General remarks.
In the general remarks, he talks of assumption, those are his words. So I don't know whether we should really rely on this report or whether the MD is comfortable with the report when the evaluator says, we have also relied on this, it is assumed, it is what. So I think he was not on ground. He based on some information somewhere and came up with this report.
How long
want to know the cost involved.
Okay, as you are replying, how long have you been there?
In that office since 2008. Chair, this is Ministry of Lands. It's cost free. We don't pay them to do their work.
Yes, Honorable Peter.
Thank you, Chair. MD to enlighten the committee. When the lease expires, does this land still belong to you? Because I know when the lease has expired, because I'm seeing so many parcels of land here with the lease expired, others with 8 years to go. Can I comfortably say when I'm occupying a plot or land where the lease has expired, it belongs to me or it can be taken by another person? And what is the security of this property?
Accounting officer?
Still belong to Posta Uganda as property of government. When the lease is about to expire or has expired, there is a process for renewal. And at the time of the evaluation, the process of renewal was ongoing. But the properties belong to Posta Uganda.
Are there properties being encroached?
Of one example of encroachment at Ngora Post Office, that's the only one that comes to my mind.
Is that the only one which is being encroached?
Yes.
Only one?
Yes.
Martin?
The MD has been in this very office for only 14 years. For only 14 years. Some properties have not acquired land titles. Is that true?
Mr. Chair, I would want an example of a property that doesn't have title.
Pardon?
Would benefit from...
no, first answer that question. There are some properties without
some
titles.
Properties that say, according to the report, you're just opening up boundaries. That's what the surveyor is talking about in his report. For boundary opening, what? So I'm surprised that up to date you're just opening boundaries. I think I should now take advantage of you and go to Kamuli and enjoy. Is your property here? The one for Kamuli, or you sold it?
Kamuli Post Office?
Yes. You sold it?
We have property in Kamuli with title.
Where is it here among the valued properties?
I'm told it's number 7 on the valuation list.
Okay. But I can't encroach on it. Do you have a title for it?
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Did you open the boundary?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Tomorrow you will find me there.
Okay, Honorable Itungo, you'll be arrested to encroach government's land.
Is to submit the updated list to the government chief valuer so that you can verify and give an update.
Okay.
Hello, District Woman Representative Amuru, and a member of this committee. Thank you.
That is unresolved property disputes and non-approval of write-off of receivables. Yes, Mr. Accounting Officer.
Posta Uganda shares boundaries with UTL. What was UTL? And you can't hear, I apologize. I don't know why. Maybe I put it here. Honorable Chair, Posta Uganda shares boundaries with UTL, what was previously UTL. And just like many neighbors, from time to time, we get into disagreements, especially over boundaries. We have presented this matter to the shareholders of both companies, and we do request, if you allow, Honorable Chair, that this matter be presented to the shareholders of both companies for resolution, because it's beyond the capacity of management to resolve.
Member Ichungo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, first of all, you should first be on record.
Shareholders of Posta Uganda are Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development and the Ministry of ICT. As I understand it, the shareholder of UTEL includes Ministry of Finance. Honorable Chair.
In your response, I can see the two ministers held meetings with the management of both entities and advised that UPL and UTL are both government agencies and that the matter shall be handled by government. So, can you have evidence to that? That really the meetings were held?
Honorable Chair, with the shareholders on this matter. We shall submit to you our correspondence with the ministers on this matter.
Honorable members, Honorable Itongo.
Tomorrow morning, it is better, because that will be a basis of inviting the stakeholders.
Exactly, members, I think we shall need to, I will arrange and invite the minister and the management, so that we resolve and we see the status, the current status of this matter, because it is very crucial. On top of that, I can see what is your say about those? I can see the table showing unresolved property disputes. So is that what the meeting you said is handling all those disputes, or
yes, sir?
Or specifically for UTI?
It's actually 11 or 12 properties.
Yeah, there are 7.
There are 7, but I think they sampled only 7, but there are 11 in total where there are disputes.
Can we get the list?
Yes, sir.
Of all the properties?
Yes.
Which have disputes?
Yes.
I'm not saying this postal land here, which is near my constituency, along Entebbe Road. It is not mentioned anywhere. I don't know what is its state. Is it sold off and it is no longer your property? It is not valued and it is not in dispute. I don't know what is its state, Mr. Chair. And even one day here, it is not there. So we don't know what is the state of those post offices.
Yes, MD, the accounting officer. What is it? What is about Uganda?
Where is it? Where is Uganda?
It has disputes because you are handling for those which have
Who is
disputes.
concerned with this in particular of you?
Honorable Chair, on the list as number 9. Yes. You had asked about Kamuri and also
I wanted to see whether you are awake.
Just near Clock Tower and Wandegea post office.
Wandegea is not a property of Posta Uganda. It belongs to UTL. And you see it in their color blue. It's not a property of Posta Uganda. We have a post office there as tenant.
But since when?
Sorry?
Yeah, since when? Because we grew up knowing that as postal land. UTL just came recently, but it was previously occupied by Posta. Uganda. And this one of near Clock Tower, that one.
It's true that throughout the 70s and even 60s, there was a post office at Wandegea, and it still is there today. That was the property of Uganda Posts and Telecommunications Corporation. In 1997, 1998, that entity was privatized. Posta Uganda, UTL, UCC, and Postbank. And the properties of that entity were allocated to the successor entities. The Wandegea Post Office property was allocated 100% to UTL.
Okay, about Entebbe Road?
Entebbe Road.
Well, just there, where you pass when you are going home.
Oh, the clock tower land.
It was
that
workshop.
Property.
It was the post office workshop. Honorable Kasolo, don't access a microphone before.
No, Honorable Chair, that is land that belonged to UTL and Posta Uganda. I can confirm that the land for Posta Uganda exists and there is a post office.
It is not here in your list.
It's not there, but
I think, Honorable Chair, we'll update the list and declare the properties that we have.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes. Honorable Kasolo, now I have allowed you. What probably we either have a mix. There is this post office building which is down, which is down Kitante Road. This one, which houses the building.
Honorable Chair, that's number 23 on the list.
Okay. Number 23. Okay. Remember, I can proceed to 5.0, trade and other receivables. Yes, Mr. James, can we get a reply for that?
This is money that the company expects to receive at the end of the financial year. And at the end of that year, June 2023, that was the amount, 15.8 billion. The largest single component of this was the money that was owed by other countries to Uganda Post Office. We trade with other post offices worldwide, and we realize a decline in payments by other post offices. But this is world trade. It amounted to 4.5 billion. And then there was also a fund that was expected for quality of service of 1.7 billion. That largely accounted for the growth in receivables. Honorable Chair, there has been engagement on both of these. And for example, during this year, the receivable on funding was resolved. It was obtained and utilized. But the payment by other member administrations is slow in coming in. But the engagements are going on through the UN agency.
Honorable members, you have a comment? Honorable Peter.
Thank you, Chair. I wanted to, because the MD is talking of receivables. I wanted, can he provide us with a list of debtors? And then also, how much, because are we paying? Because there is some to the person going to demand, and what he brings back is less. Let's say I'm using 3 million to give to a person going to demand for somebody who owes me, and in the end he brings back 1 million. Is there evidence that these debt collectors have done good work, and can you provide that evidence? And then the total list, who owes Posta, how much?
Honorable Chair, will
the steps being taken to collect.
Okay.
Have you written to them? Have you been writing to them? The steps that you are trying to take to recover this money. And then the aging list. How many have you been demanding for the last 10 years, 5 years, since you have been in the system for 14, 16 years? We need that list.
Steps taken? Yes.
Correct.
Pardon? There are proof of steps taken?
Yes, yes, Honorable Chair. And the payables almost match with the receivables. But part of this, Honorable Chair, was the slow receipt of money from the debtors, and we shall provide proof that engagements have been on. But internally, we are also trying to have a strategy of generating cash, because the biggest problem at Posta Uganda is cash flow. For example, we've asked the Ministry of Finance to top up the share capital, which was not paid since 1997. It's equivalent to $4.5 million at 1997 rates. We have requested the regulator, UCC, to pay for the Universal Service Fund. The
waiver?
It would actually be a budget support. For the reason that you are running a post office in an area where the revenues from that post office cannot pay for the costs. That happens in many of our stations of country. And in many countries, they use the Eco Service Fund as a subvention to facilitate continuation of postal services where the costs are higher.
The management, is it engaging with these entities?
Which I will present written proof of our engagement with UCC, and I can say that the meetings are ongoing.
And the Minister of Finance?
Yes, sir.
Proof, we need it tomorrow.
Okay, sir.
Please note it.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Mr. Honorable.
You've talked our land, which was previously being owned by Posta. It is that they sold it off. So it is up to them to prove us that they didn't sell it off. But if you sold it off, that money should be at least be shown here to know how much was got and everything in your account books, so that we take away that query, and even those financial problems you are in, you can able solve it using some monies that you got from the sale of the clock tower land. So if that's true, then you could talk about it briefly. Because, Chairman, what happens when they tell you that we shall bring an updated list, that will be when, even if you tell him tomorrow, he can come and bring anything, but according to the information, unless if it is disputed by you, then we can get that clarity as members of Parliament. Thank you, Chair. It was
6.5 billion that UCC is supposed to pay. I wanted the poster to be honest. Really, paying for what? The MD was trying to give an explanation or whatever. Is it viable? Then the question of PPP, also, that is C. And, okay, the law is in place, but in most instances, entities have ended up losing. You find that you are giving prime land, and what you get out of PPP is not viable. Do you have any study you have already conducted under PPP arrangement?
Chair, I just want to ask the ED, didn't you receive any compensation from UNRA for the flyover construction?
First of all, Honorable Sewanyana, no. Clock Tower land was not sold. That land exists. We have a certificate of title for it, and there is a post office functioning there today. But, Honorable Member, we should know that that land was owned by two entities and subdivided, Posta Uganda and UTL. I'm here to tell you that the land that is owned by Posta Uganda exists up today, and there is a post office.
Okay.
Remember, is it realistic to expect UCC to give a subsidy of 6.5 billion shillings? we did. What does it cost Posta Uganda to deliver services in some stations where it is not profitable? There's a post office in Koboko, there's a post office in Yumbe, there's a post office in all those areas where it doesn't pay for its cost. And we submitted that to UCC. UCC also did its own research. As it is now, we are on the table negotiating. If they don't give 6 billion and they give 3, that is something that can at least subsidize the operation. Honorable member, you know that the postal services are mandatory. They must be provided throughout the country. And that is the only reason why Posta Uganda feels the mandate to ask for a subsidy from the regulator, because that fund exists, the Equal Service Fund. And it's one accepted method of attracting resources where you may not get all the resources from the Treasury. We are experimenting with it. We have only got approval by the board. It hasn't gone very far. But at least we are looking at using it. Perhaps it will work out. Then lastly, Honorable Member, yes, UNRA constructed a flyover at Clock Tower, and it compensated all the parties that were affected, including Posta Uganda. How much? I will get the exact amount of compensation as determined by the Chief Government Value, and we shall submit it.
Okay. That is the critical issue, air construction, the flyover. Because I don't want to preempt them, because I've been in the chairperson of the committee. I know how much it was, but you can bring it about.
7.0, managing
entities for their pensions arrears. And we ever argued that this was not a liability of Posta Uganda, but a liability of government of Uganda. And it was accepted, and the pensioners are now being paid by the Ministry of Finance.
Okay, we want evidence of that.
The evidence we can give, Honorable Chair, if it's acceptable to you, is that the liability for the pensioners was waived off Posta Uganda and assigned to government. About the payments and how it's being done, I think that can be asked from the Ministry of Finance.
Okay, Kasolo.
Yeah, I just want to confirm, you don't have any law in determining those pensioners, and are you sure finance as
The business of the post is not delivery of letters, it is communications. This business has been driven by IT for the last 20 years, and Posta Uganda has ably deployed IT to run its business. For example, Track and Trace, an IT software that we use, enables our customers to know exactly where their shipments are. When you bring an item to the post office for delivery, abroad or internally, you're able to monitor it on your computer to know this is where it has gone. When it's received, the person will use a thumbprint or we key in their ID, and you get proof that your item has been delivered. This is an example to show how technology enables the post to remain afloat. So the notion that technology has taken away work of the post office is wrong. The only thing that technology did was make communication safer and faster, and Posta Uganda has embraced that communication to remain relevant. I'll give you a second example. Addresses. There is a law in this country that every business doing work in this country should have an address. P.O. Box. That law is valid. What we did was to digitize the addresses. put them on all platforms, whether it's a telephone, whether it's a mobile phone, or even a computer. So you can apply and acquire an address online, www.ugapost.co.ug. And because technology exists, you go to the Registration Services Bureau and acquire an address, file your returns, or register a company. So they exist, and the technologies are making work easier, not difficult at all. So how is the financial constraint? The truth is, Posta Uganda does not generate sufficient resources to finance all its activities. For this year that has just ended, we had hoped to raise a budget of 20 billion shillings. We've been able to raise only 15. But remember, postal services are mandatory. They must be offered everywhere in this country, because you cannot go and say, this part of Uganda shall not communicate. If my son is in school in Bundubujo and I live in Kampala, the son in Bundubujo must communicate with me through the post office. So I've appealed to government on two fronts. Ministry of Finance, can you pay the share capital that you should have paid? 5.5 billion shillings. Share capital. That request has been presented to the Ministry of Finance. Or better still, there is a regulator. We have a fund that is meant to cater for rural communications. Can use that fund to subsidize some of our operations that are not profitable. The engagements are on. We hope that they'll be willing to offer some kind of subsidy of some nature. But internally, we're not sitting down and waiting for subsidies. We're also creatively trying to raise our own revenues through digitization. And the two examples I gave you of digitization give us hope that with time, we shall be able to fund all our activities 100%. So with the bailout of, realistically, with the bailout of 5 billion shillings, we'll be clean. Yeah, we'll be clean. That would mean we would finance all our operations without worry. Finally, the best way of demonstrating this is using an example. We have a post office in Kanungu. That post office will employ 2 people. They earn a salary. You rent a building. You pay for bills, electricity and water. But the revenue is coming out of Kanungu in a month, 80,000 shillings. And what you have paid out at the end of the month, 3 million shillings. So you make a loss of 2 million shillings in one station alone. And those kinds of stations are many. Kanungu, Koboko, Yumbe, remote stations up country.
And very final, why is it taking you long to share?
Uganda and UTL were shared out because the Minister of ICT issued statutory instruments. Both UTL and Posta Uganda have certificates of title. The only problem we have is the boundaries between them. There is no contention on the properties. The contention is the boundary area. Just like you can have a neighbor in the village and then you say, my grandfather told me our land would go behind that tree. And someone says, no, it's supposed to be here. We believe it's a simple matter for the shareholders to resolve.
How has it inconvenienced you?
The only inconvenience it causes is when it comes time for valuation. But it doesn't stop operations. Operations go on normally. Thank you.
Post office ekyalina kyesobola okukola kubanga newakubadde twogera ku technology waliwo ebintu technology weeyinza okuba nga tennatuuka n'olwekyo ekyo kisaanidde okuba nga tukyasigaza post office. Bw'ogenda okufuna address olwaleero wano mu Uganda nnyumba mmeka ezirina address z'osobola okugamba nti bw'oba oyagala owonya Mwami Mpindi musange ku Poloti 26 na Mirembe Road oba Kasangati Poloti gundi nti omuntu ajja kuteekamu bagiyitani eyo IGP emutambuze GPS ntajja kuteekamu GPS emuleete paka awaka nga bwe kiri mu nsi endala. Otuuka awantu oteekamu butesi GPS ng'oteekamu poloti namba oteekamu biki nga gundi ekutuusa. Olwaleero mu Uganda tetuyina yadde 0.001 ey'ekyo kati ekyo ogwo mulimu post office yayina ogukola kati ndowooza nti munene nnyo tukyagubuza bulamu. Ekyokubiri waliwo abantu baffe ab'emu bitundu byewala ebyo abatannatuuka ku tekinologi eno nga ne bandibadde bajagala ogituukako facilities tezibasobozesa. Okimanyi bulungi ebitundu bya Uganda bingi nnyo tebiina intaneti tebiina ki kati tosobola kwogera ku tekinologi nga tonnaba kubunya intaneti mu bitundu bya Uganda byanjawulo. N'olwekyo olw'ensonga eyo ndowooza post office ekyetaagisa ne biliyoni 5 senga baziteeka mu layini entuufu mwe bazisabira size ssente nnyingi ennyo nti wetuzifuna wetuzibawa tuba tugudde nnyo naye ekikulu bazitadde mu ekyo kye balowooza kye bagenda okukola. Kati ng'ekyo kye nkugambye ekya post address omuntu n'abeera nga buli muntu asobola okuba ne address ye ng'omuntu osobola omutuukako. Heke tetubiina kyovula obumenyi bw'emisango bungi omuntu akubbako ekintu wano n'agenda wali ebwayiise ne yeekweka mu kayumba n'omunoonya nga tolina gy'omusanga kubanga tolina address. Ekyo kinene nnyo mu entity za gavumenti zonna. Ndowooza gavumenti eno eyawamu erina okutereeza ekintu ekyo. Emabegako eri nali ndeesa ekiteeso nti buli entity ebanja ssente esente ezo tuzikwate tulagire Minister of Finance bwebe ewa budget y'abana abantu esadeko sente ezo ezikasukire be babanja neve tunaba tetukoze ekyo buli muntu oluzifuna eri banja alabanga eritamukwatako era babeereyo ne banyumya eno entity ya government nene ya government ate ensasula nti ya government chovola abantu kizibu olaba national water kye yatandika nti ejja ne kusalako amazzi obega saze ku ddwaliro mune mumanyo obuzito bwayo kubanga amabanja ago bwe tuba tukola budget tuzisasula tuziteeka mu budget neke tugenda okulaba nga omuntu azijjeewo aziyutilize azitadde walala kati banya ne lisigala nga weeriri naye bwe tumala okukkanya mwana tugenda okusasula posta essente z'ebanja UCC bifo ky'okusindika sente mu UCC mutemako butemeza posta ne muzikasuka eno mugenda okusasula UCC sente z'ebanja oba katugeze Ministry of Foreign Affairs bifo ky'okusindika sente mu Foreign Affairs mutemako za Foreign Affairs ne musindika mu UCC ekyo kisobola okumalawo amabanja ago
sente kubanga neze ba collectinga zenyeni zabalema okukozesa singa babadde nga bazikozesa zonna ne bazitualizing olaba ne sente zenyini ze ba collecting 13.11 billion tebazikozesiza zonna ne basigala nga bali mu mabanja abantu babanja naye nga sente bagamba twalemerera okuzikozesa kati bwe tusobola kubawa sente kisookera ddala omuntu bw'oba weetaaga buyambi olina okulaba nti akatono koolina okatade mu right use oba kakozesiza ne kagwayo nogamba nti wampadde million oba nasoletinze million emu nkozeseza million emu n'emitwalo 10 ndi mu mabanja ga mitwalo 10 naye kati ogambye okollectinga billion 13 ku billion 13 okozesizaako billion 9 billion 4 tozikozesa ate nosigala nga oli mu mabanja kwegamba ebintu byawe tebitegerekeka ate ndi kyakubiri abantu bano okimanyi nti bafunako ne compensation ku flyover Entebbe highway flyover bafuna billion nga 6 naye olaba ne mu bitabu byawe tebiriimo kwegamba ebintu byonna byo bakola betaaga baddeyo bagende beetereezemu okwo ebintu biterere bagambye twagala analysis kye tuyita aging analysis batuwe mabanja gano gajja gatya kiki kye bakozeewo okulaba nti bafuna sente zino zikomaawo mu entity kyakubiri za myaka meka kubanga oyinza okwesanga nga endala zeetaaga right off oyinza okubanjira omuntu emyaka nga 3 nogamba nosigala nga oteeka mu bitabu nti nkyabanja omuntu ayinza okubanga yafa ate kwegamba balimu gaps nyingi ze beetaaga advice y'amaanyi ennyo tujja kufuna akadde tubayita again tubeere nga tubanyumizamu okwenjiri gy'okukola mu ebintu naye otherwise tetusobola kubawa sente nje nkubuulira kubanga neze ba collecting zenyini tebakola ki tebazikozesa nga bwe kyandibadde kati tetusobola kubongera sente singa batulaze nti there is need naye olaba bakolektinze naye kye bakozesiza kwa ntono kati awo namwongera otya nga nezaali na zenyini tamanyi okuzikozesa nkyekyo
esookera ddala nti abaami abo tubasinkanye olwaleero ngaffe abakakiiko kakosase naye ndowooza waliwo bingi byebatasobodde kubeera balambulukufu era ate bwebataba balambulukufu naffe ababaka ba paalamenti esobola kuvaayo ate ne tugamba gavumenti esobole okubawa ssente nga ze mwetaaga kubanga tumanyi ebintu bingi bye mbadde mujjamu ssente ate byebatasobodde kwanjuluza bulungi ekimu ku byokulabirako ly'ettaka lino erya posta eriri okumpi ne constituency yange e Makindye West eriri ku Klokotawa. Twafuna amawulire nti ettaka eryo lyayitibwamu ekkubo akatundu akamu era ne bafuna ssente billions kumpi 6. Naye twali tusoma ensaasaanya yaabwe n'ennyingiza ate ssente ezo tetuzirabye nga baziteeka mu mpapula wano mu kakiiko ka Parliament. So kitegeeza waliwo obutali bulambulukufu. N'ekirala ettaka eryo lyennyini wadde nga UNRA yasalako eryayo kwe yayisa ekkubo lyayo tebasobodde kulitulaga nga ababaka ba Parliament tize ebimu ku byapa bye balina either ebinaatera okuggwako oba ebikyaliko tebalina bwe babiraze. So olaba nti waliwo obutali bulambulukufu era kye tulowooza nti tubagambye baddeyo basobole okuleeta bulungi nnyo empapula ate ezitulaga status naddala ku ttaka eryo eriri ekatwe wali erya Klokotawa. Esookera ddala nti nabo bennyini be bakwasiza ekitongole kino balina okuba abayiiye ennyo nti ekigambo posta tekikyategeeza mpapula zino ze batambuza mu mabaluwa aga bulijjo ge bawandiikirako, ne banoonya engeri gye basobola okuba nga bajja mu tekinologi ono aliwo okulaba nti basobola okusigaza omulimu gwabwe ogwa posta, kubanga posta gye ziri mu nsi zonna ez'enjawulo post office gye ziri naye kati ate zikola ku bintu ebirala bingi gamba ng'okutambuza ebitereke n'ebintu ebirala ebyagala okwanguwa amangu nga tebiyise mu container na mu bikiwe n'ebintu ebirala bingi. For example wano mu Uganda kampuni ezimu nga DHL zikyakola emirimu gyakyo ate nga nazo za posta. Katonda kugamba wano mulemereddwa ate nga mu nsi yonna ekintu kyagenda maaso wadde nga nayo waliyo tekinologi ate asinga ne ku wa Uganda.